99.9 and other frequencies across the country. Well, today is Tuesday, the 21st of November 2023, and it's good to be back on your radio with another presentation of Economic Hour. Well, Economic Hour is a radio program brought to you, sponsored by the uh, Ministry of Finance and Development Planning. I am your presenter, Vafli Kamara. On this program, we talk development in the private and public sectors. In the public sector, we bring on board government officials, ministries and agencies, progress they're making to better the overall, to better the Liberian economy. Uh, Also, in the private sector, we bring on board, highlight the progress of entrepreneurs, the efforts of those uh, farmers, just people who are making progress and making impact on society. And so this morning, we have the opportunity to invite on this program Mr. Luther D. Jeke, the Chief Executive Officer of our campus, Liberia. You all know about our campus in Monrovia. Our campus is an organization, involved with technology, innovation, and all that. So we will be placing the spotlight on our campus. What is it all about? What happens there? What are the programs being run there? And so the Chief Executive Officer, Luther Jeke, will be here to delve into the work they're doing at our campus. This is Economic Hour on ELBC Radio. This program is also relayed on several radio stations across the country, including OKFM in Monrovia, in the counties, Classic FM in Kakatama, Gibi County, Bangabong County, Radio Banga Superbongis in Nimba County, Radio Gompa in Nimba County, and a host of other community radio stations across the country. And so we are taking a short break to be right back on Economic Hour. Welcome back to Economic Hour on ELBC Radio. As we await our guest, who is not far away from here, very shortly he will be in studio. But I just thought to, say something very important. Over the past few months, the attention of the world has been upon us, upon Liberia. This is because we're headed to a major national elections, the presidential and legislative elections, first held October 10, 2023, and then the runoff election on November 14. And so the world has been looking at how mature we are in terms of our democracy, how mature we are to, maintain our domestic affairs, whether it is the maintenance of peace. And the administration of President George Weah has been very, very magnanimous, very, very instrumental in the maintenance of peace. Also, we, the Liberian people. But as much as we've been able to, hold a free, fair, and credible elections, evidenced by the number of statements from the international community, whether it's the U.S. Embassy in Monrovia, the United Nations, the ECOWAS, the regional bloc ECOWAS, and a host of international observation missions that trooped in our country to observe these major elections in our country's history. But sometimes it is not you can achieve a feat let's say you achieve by holding credible elections, telling the world that we are up there with other countries, democratic countries. Our democracy has matured, but how we go about maintaining the feat, the achievements of our democracy is another thing. I say this to say, last evening, this report of into some jubilant supporters of the incoming government political party, the United Party. We understand that that has led to the death of some 3 persons and several others injured and on critical list. You know, the commendations coming from the international community speaks to the fact that we've matured to some large extent. We've matured with our democracy, but we have to maintain that. We have to maintain the trust and credibility of the international community. If you watch the videos, if you watch what happened last night, it just it's an emotional mayhem. It will appear to you that it was very tragic, horrific. It shouldn't have happened, you know. But the security apparatus has been very instrumental in ensuring that our elections are held peacefully. It's investigating the matter. The Liberian National Police is investigating the matter. And so it will be very premature to come to a conclusion or to shift blame. You know, we are into a political season. And the fact that this happened to supporters of a political party, there are people out there who will make some knee-jerk reactions and conclusion that this was orchestrated by individuals or a rival political party as well, which is not, wise to do. To just in a knee-jerk reaction shift blame to individuals. So it's always important to allow the Liberian National Police carry on the investigation, though we all call on the Liberian National Police to do this thoroughly and speedily. Sometimes we don't put pressure on the police to speedily investigate a criminal act, because to do that is to make the investigation sentimental. So let's give the police the chance to investigate this matter. Let's not make knee-jerk reactions, make knee-jerk conclusions to this incident. We all know the trauma that's associated with what happened. No one can fathom how one would get in a vehicle and just drive into a group of people, in that manner. So let's see if there is a criminal nature associated with what happened. The police obviously will uncover that. We understand that the driver has been arrested, which is a very swift achievement on the part of the police to make that arrest, and they will go through the investigation. But let's not prematurely, come to the conclusion of shifting blame and all that. So I just thought to, we as Liberians, we have a responsibility to celebrate our democracy and to do this wisely and to do this upholding the trust of the rest of the world. Now, there are international observation missions still in the country. It is not, covering election day or the polling day, making initial fundings, and they are still here. The ECOWAS observation mission is here. The ESA, supported by USAID, they are here. The European Union, the US embassies still have these people still have, you know, observation mission officials, watching, because we have the pre and post elections. So let's ensure that uh, the peace of our country is maintained. The peace, the democracy is upheld. Let's prove to the world that our democracy has matured, that we can gain the trust of the international community, the rest of the world, that we are a democratic country, that even if an election is held credibly, transparently, free, fairly, we can still move on with no act of violence after the elections. Because to do this, we will be recutting ourselves, and we will give the rest of the world a pause for thought. And you don't want to do that. So let's maintain the peace. We are all Liberians. The thing about Liberia is the country is small, and we are all interrelated. If I open the lands now and ask, people will know who are the victims. People will say, oh, okay, that's my friend, brother, or my sister's friend, who died or who is injured. So we are very, very interrelated, and we can't allow anything to divide us, because we will be here. We're not going anywhere. We are all Liberians. All we need to do is to maintain the peace. All right, but let's give the police the chance to investigate this matter. Let's prove to the rest of the world that our democracy has matured, and that we are capable. The fact that we were able to hold our own elections credibly, and kudos to the National Elections Commission for the transparent conduct of the elections. And I'm not saying this because I covered the election or I saw how the elections were held. I'm saying this because it is a testament from the rest of the world, from representatives of the international community in Liberia, the UN, the ECOWAS, the EU, the ESA, the USAID, and the rest of the people who are here observing the elections, the electoral process. They've all commended the National Elections Commission for the transparent conduct of the elections. And one person who has been very, very instrumental in driving the peace, in driving the maturity of our democracy is President George Weah. Right now in the sub-region, we are confronted with democracy being undermined. In other countries, you see the barrage of coups taking place. President George Weah being a very peaceful man, and don't be surprised if he's included into the ECOWAS Elders Forum, to be taken around the region, preaching the message of peace, serving as special envoy to other countries where democracy is being undermined. So when you do that, you have a place in society, in the region, on a continent. All right. So let's maintain the peace. What happened last evening is very traumatic. It causes emotional mayhem, like I said. So we can do this. We can continue. We can reach this far and try to backtrack and record ourselves. Then it will give the rest of the world a pause for thought. They will kind of like think, I thought, Liberia was making progress, but what's happening after elections? You see this happening. This is not necessary. This is very uncalled for. And so whatever the case is, if there is a criminal nature to this incident. The police will obviously investigate it. And we urge the Unity Party officials to continue to talk to their partisans, not to shift blames at this time early stage, not to offer knee-jerk reactions, not to point fingers, because the state has taken control of it. The state institution, the Liberia National Police, has taken siege of it, and so they should be very calm to ensure that the police investigate this matter. The police will investigate this matter. I'm very sure, I'm very confident in the police to come up with funding what happened, and the perpetrator or perpetrators will be brought to justice. All right, so I just thought to share these few words with you as we are with our guests on Economic Hour this morning on the Super Morning Show, of course. Like I said, we will be playing host to Luther Jacket. Luther Jacket is the Chief Executive Officer of iCampus Liberia. As a matter of fact, Luther has just entered our studio, and so we will be driving the discussion very shortly. Luther is the Executive Officer at iCampus. I will give him a little time to breathe. Then we delve into this discussion. This is Economic Hour. My name is Vafle Kamara. Economic Hour is that program brought to you by the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning. We talk development on this show, highlight the progress being made in the private sector, the public sector, the progress of young people in society, entrepreneurs, and all that. And so we will obviously talk to Luther. So Luther, I guess, is ready for this. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Vafle. It's a pleasure to be here again, and thank you for the opportunity.
Great. How are you? You want to apologize to the people for coming pretty late?
Yeah, definitely. The listening audience and also to Vafle, I want to say my apologies. I had some snack this morning.
I know.
Making my way here, but it's good to be here.
Great. Luther, let's get a brief history of iCampus. Tell us how it all started before we delve into programs you're running there.
Great. Thank you very much. Good morning, Liberia. Good morning, Radio Land. Like I said, ELBC is no strange home to us. We've always been on this radio, and it's always good to, tell our people about the progress we are making, whether be it in Montserrat County or nationally. So I represent Innovation Campus Liberia, which is iCampus Liberia.
So they're asking for innovation.
Innovation, yes. So we are located right up Kiri Street, Snapper Hill. We started the space back in 2016 as a way to create a convergence between, information technology, entrepreneurship, and social change in Liberia. Because if you realize that after the 14 years of civil crisis in Liberia, the young people in Liberia are often branded as troublemakers. They've been branded as people who will destabilize the country. And you also realize that there are not too many spaces in Liberia where young people can come together, remain active, learn new skills, talk about issues that affect them, and how they can work together to create solutions to tackle those issues. So that's the background where we came from. And we were like, okay, if we can create this innovation space where young people can come, have access to a space, have access to computers, the internet, new skills, knowledge, and all of that, we believe that we can create a more engaged, active, and proactive, young generation of Liberians that are willing and ready, right, to move Liberia forward. So that's why we funded the iCampus back in 2016. We officially launched to the public in 2018. And we've since then gone on to host about 200 plus events. in the space. We've had more than 12,000 plus young people who've benefited across I mean, in Moserado,
Yeah.
but also the impact we've made. We've impacted close to 200,000 plus of the Liberian population, directly or indirectly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just, like you said, we'll talk more about the partnerships, but
Yeah.
basically it's a space for young people, women, Liberians from all walks of life to come and work together to find solutions to the issues that we are faced with, whether be it in education, in health, in technology, in agriculture, all of that. We tackle all of those issues at iCampus.
I mean, initially when you set it up, I mean, how was it like? How do you do your recruitment? How do you know that this young person is willing to learn,
Sure.
to come on board and explore a new world through technology, through entrepreneurship?
Definitely. We use different mechanisms to recruit or bring people on board. Some of the programs we run there, they're our self-made programs.
Okay.
Some of them as either supported or sponsored by different donors.
Okay.
So based on what the demographic is or what the scope is for a particular program, there are different recruitment mechanisms. But generally, we use the local media to encourage young people to know more about the space, to go there and utilize the resources. We do things like public application processes where we create a Google form, for example, or a physical application form. If there's a specific training, then you go there and you sign up for it. We use different youth groups, youth forums where we post some of those things, or we engage them through those mediums to bring their members to take advantage of the opportunities that are there. So there are several means through which we do recruitment for different trainings, workshops, or programs.
Okay. So how has that been able to, mold the minds of young people that you've worked with over the years to make them better citizens?
Great. As I was on my way, I got the intro when you were making the intro, especially about, the way this program, the Economic Hour, is really engaging public and private sector, sponsored by the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning. We will all agree that entrepreneurship is really crucial to the growth and development of any country.
Sure.
Like I was speaking with the folks from UNDP recently, and one of the team lead there said, Liberia is the only country in the world that the government is the highest employer, right? And to
a large public sector,
of course,
small private sector.
Small private
in other countries, the other way around.
Is the other way around. And I think that's the message we are trying to preach. Not just preaching the message, but also trying to create opportunities that can, create alternative means where people can say, okay, you say I shouldn't go to government, right? What can I do?
Okay, what are the alternatives?
What are the alternatives? So how do we do that? We create sustainable programs that will give young people the skills, the knowledge they need, the connections they need, the network they need, and access to finance as well. And that's what we've been doing over the last couple of years. We will share more about those specific programs, so that you can basically not just learn about it, but start, as we come to the close of the year, start putting yourself in order so that you can take advantage of most of these opportunities that will be coming up at iCampus in the new year.
So as we speak now, Luther, what are the programs that you actively engaged with, and who are your sponsors, your partners, let me say?
Great. So I'll take it step by step. So at iCampus, as a hub for innovation and business development as well, we have 2 local business development services providers. We work with the Business Startup Center Morovia, for example. They're a certified business development firm that have been in Liberia for the last 13 years. We also work with Agrotech Liberia, which is a local agriculture business development firm. So those are 2 key partners, implementing partners. And then we also have some partnerships with two international business development firms, which is the Growth Africa from Nairobi, Kenya,
Okay.
and the East Africa Market Development Associates from Nairobi as well. So we work with those four firms to implement most of the programs. So our biggest flagship program at the moment is what we call the Liberia MSME Growth Accelerator Program.
Okay.
That program was launched in 2021. Is in partnership with UNDP. UNDP is providing the funding for that program, and the Ministry of Commerce and Industry.
Okay.
So it's part of a larger program called the Livelihood and Employment Creation Program, a 5 years program that is being implemented by the UNDP.
So
the Ministry of Commerce.
So what is the role does iCampus play in there?
So we are the implementing partner of that program. So basically, the program was launched in 2021, like I said.
Yeah.
And what we do, we provide three core things from that program for Liberian businesses and agricultural cooperatives.
Okay.
So we basically provide business development services. We also provide coaching and mentoring for those businesses and agricultural cooperatives. And then we provide a co-financing grant of up to $40,000 each to each of the business or the agricultural cooperatives that go through those programs. Yeah, so when we launched in 2021, the program scope was smaller. So we put out a call for application, both virtually and in person across the 7 project counties, which includes Maserado, Lofa, Nimba, Grand Jita, Sino, Maryland, and Grand Kibon counties.
Okay.
And Grand Bassa as well. So put out the call for application, and we received a total of 198 applications from 198 Liberian businesses. In the first year, we're only dealing with one cohort, which was basically the SMEs cohort. Okay. And when we receive those call for application, we have a very rigorous process. We set up something called the Independent Selection Committee. These are professionals from private sector, public sector, who come together based on the criteria we set. They review the applications, and then they shortlist a number of that application. Like, for example, in the first year, we shortlisted the top 50, and then we went through it again.
So it means that these businesses take advantage.
Of course, 198. And when I tell you more about the trend, vastly, you'll be surprised. You'll be amazed. So we did that, did a rigorous selection process, and then we shortlisted a total of the final 10 semifinalists in the first year, 2021. And when we shortlisted them on December, I think it was December 5th, 2021, we hosted a very public, one of the first biggest or largest public pitching ceremonies for Liberian businesses at the Ministerial Complex in Congo Town.
Yeah, I attended that.
Yeah. And we had a good number of people in the audience, and those 10 businesses pitch.
Okay. So it's necessarily displaying, their businesses.
Yeah, and their potential as well.
Okay.
Your growth plan. So basically, you're telling the 5 judges that are sitting on the table and the audience as well that if you give me $40,000, this is what I'm going to do with it. This is how I'm going to scale and grow my business. This is the number of young Liberians I'll be employing.
But do they have this sense of responsibility for accountability?
Great. We'll get to that. That's the second part of it. But what we do before the pitching, there are a series of boot camps and workshops held for those semifinalists.
Okay.
So we take them from stage 1 to stage 3, which basically has everything to do with the business development modules. So it allows them to learn more about entrepreneurship, learn more about business development, whether it's financial responsibility or accountability to yourself or to the business, whether it's marketing, it's customer service, how to know and deal with your competitors, investors communication. So there are lots of modules that they go through, those semifinalists. And after that, we host the pitching ceremony.
Okay.
So the pitching ceremony now is a true manifestation of all of what you've learned as a semifinalist. Then you go and pitch to the judges. And then the judges have a set of criteria to look at. and then the selection is made.
So this is a whole support package. Not only are you giving the financial support, you also educating them on how to maintain the business.
Definitely. And the modules or the curriculum we deal with throughout the process, they're certified international curriculum that is being used in Ghana, Nairobi, Kenya, and other places by Growth Africa. And I think this is a really good opportunity for Liberians to take advantage of. So in the first year, we supported, we did 10 semifinalists that went through all of the workshops and trainings and stuff. And then we had a pitching ceremony, and 5 of them were selected as the finalists. And those 5.
So you can even be coached, you can be mentored, but you can reach the final.
You can reach, you're reaching the final, but you're not accessing the grant.
The grant, okay. Yeah. But you walk away with the knowledge.
The knowledge and the connection. You know, even there were some of them who pitched, they didn't access the 40,000. In the first year, but they built some connections with some local banks. Yeah, you know, our partner
based on their pitching,
of course. Right. So 5 of them walk away with $40,000 each, and those 5 businesses have gone on to do serious, tremendous, making some good progress. You know, I will pinpoint some of them. I'll call their names, those businesses, and where they're located. In the second year, we launched the call for application. We had 2 cohorts. And those 2 cohorts were one for general small businesses and then one for agriculture cooperatives. Okay. So in the second year, we put out the call for application. We received a total of 288 applications from 11 counties. Wow. That was about 40 agriculture cooperatives, and the rest were small businesses.
So the huge number of applications, is it determined by the publicity you make?
Yes, I would say yes. So we create radio jingles, you know, LBS, for example, we do play the jingles here. So we create radio jingles, we do flyers, we do billboards, we do a lot of online publicity as well, and visibility through different forums. We boost most of the communication materials we have there. So we use all sort of medium to get to the very remotest part of Liberia. We have our volunteers all in the counties as well that will take out the application form to the county service centers, to the community radio stations, where you can pick up an application form, fill it out, drop it back at the particular date. Our volunteers pick it up, bring it to town, and then people are applying online as well. So we reach out as much as possible, utilize the local media. Okay. And I think, like you said, the publicity really helps a lot. And for that, we received a total of 228 applications. We processed that. Yeah. And in the second year, which was last year, we basically supported about 14 MSMEs, these small businesses, and about 13 agricultural cooperatives. So we worked with them throughout the year, and then we held the pitching ceremony on September 15 and 16 at the Ministerial Complex King. And then about 7 of the MSMEs were awarded the grant of 40,000 each, and then about 6 agricultural cooperatives were awarded as well.
Okay. So what are the success stories, Luther?
Great. So for example, Wongo's Farm in Bon County in Salala. Wongo's Farm is one of the beneficiaries of the program. Through this program, he has employed, the business has grown, you know, from, if you look at where they were versus where they are now, they've grown, they've gone on to access other funding sources, grants from USAID, from Mercy Corp, and other, you know, business sources, loans, you know, capital investments and so forth. So Wongo's Farm is producing plenty chips. They're doing piggy trade farming. They're doing a lot of things out there. Salala, Bon County, you know, Wongo's Farm is one of the most talked about small businesses in Liberia now. And now, for example, we've supported Nima Ventures, located in Seclapia City, Nima County. These are the guys that are doing one of the first snail farming in Liberia, to ensure that we have snails on the Liberian market 12 months a year. Now they're trying to do some value addition to now package it for snacks and do a
Oh,
lot of
okay.
stuff. Now they are conducting training for other young people across the country to know how to do snails farming.
Okay.
If you go up Kerry Street to Lunchbox, they're one of the most talked about local restaurants in town that are utilizing local farming products, directly organic products, with smallholder farmers to make sure that they do delivery services. They provide really good meals,
Mm.
healthy meals to Liberians as well.
Luther, with all this, support, why is it that the wind of entrepreneurship in Liberia is not so strong? Is it because of you people who are involved with these, support to local businesses and all that? You people are not many, or is it that the desire for the public sector is overriding the desire for the private sector? Which is which?
I think there are lots of factors that we can consider.
Mm.
Like you said, the last point you raised, I think it's all about, and in fact, I was going to talk about something we're working with Mercy Cup with currently.
Mhm.
It's around small business development and entrepreneurship as well. But we're working with Mercy Cup on this program, which is basically focused on promoting sustainable um, development in Liberia, the
Mm.
Prospect 4 program. And we're working specifically to change norms and perception around jobs and entrepreneurship in Liberia. And that program, we kick it off middle part of this year. We're trying to wrap up the pilot phase now.
Mhm.
We've held several engagement with young people, women group, agriculturists through that program. And basically, what that program is trying to do is that too often young people will complain that there are not too many jobs in Liberia. But if you do survey, you will realize that there are a lot of young people who get jobs in the private sector or public sector, but they don't maintain those jobs.
Lack of discipline.
Yes. And then secondly, there are young people who will say, there's no, enabling environment for small business in Liberia. Well, that could be true, but there are opportunities. If
Mm.
I start a business today, I get a small grant or loan of $5,000. And the first thing I think about is how do I take a vacation to Dubai? Or how do I buy the latest Nissan Sony
Mm.
with the capital investment, right?
Then you undermining the foundation of the
Of
business.
the business. So how do we work with young people to change the mindset, the perceptions, the norms around this?
But is it also the pervasive nature of politics right now in our country?
I mean, that could be one factor. So basically we're working with young people through that program, to give them the right attitude, to work with them, to tell them this is the best way to go. So we have a whole set of curriculum that we work with them on, women groups, young people, so that we work with them to basically think about how do you build a sustainable business? What are the tenets? What are the norms? What do you have to follow? What are the success stories from Ghana, from Ivory Coast, from other places that we can live on those best practices and try to mimic what they do? It's not one size fit all. We can localize it, so that we work on things that will work in Liberia. And then if you get a job as well, what are the basic soft skills or hard skills that you need to maintain that job? Going to work on time, knowing how to communicate with your colleagues,
Mm.
those basic things. Sometimes they're the cause of, not maintaining a job. So we're working with young people around that as
Yeah.
well. And
Having emotional intelligence,
of course,
on the job.
definitely. And then, thirdly, I wanted to talk about a program that we launched this year as well with the USAID Liberia through the Africa Trade and Investment Initiative. We're going to be working with USAID over the next 3 years, basically working with youth and women in the agriculture sector. We're going to be incubating about 90 agri businesses across the 15 counties. But We have 3 incubators that have been selected, and we are giving 5 counties each. So iCampus is taking care of Lofa, Bapolu, Grand Cape, Bombing, and Grand Jita counties. And we have Tribe Liberia as well, taking care of 5 counties, and then Educare Liberia. So, yeah, so basically, we're going to be working with young agriculturists, women groups to basically give them everything from the skills they need to build sustainable agribusinesses. We are going to be also giving grants to them to help them scale and grow or start their agribusinesses, and then monitor that over a period of time to ensure the sustainability of that. And I think that last part is one of the hardest components of what we do. So we're proud to partner with several international partners who trust the work we do, and not to beat our own drums, but I think the work speaks for itself. Over time, the number of young people we've worked with, the number of women groups, also persons with disabilities as well that we work with through different programs. I think that's something we really want to keep going.
And talking about changing the perception, Luther, many times when you invite young people to a workshop, let's say to train them about how career choices and all that, the first thing first they think about is setting fees. So but again, you don't want to make that use to them. When they come for the knowledge, then you pay them, then so that becomes a bargaining, to bring them on board. So do you face the challenge of that? And where exactly is the best place to recruit? Is it at the university campuses or where?
Great. And you struck a very important point. And I think this is a old age problem in Liberia, for the fact that we fought 14 years of war, civil war. And then in the early 90s, when the country was trying to rebuild, get back on its feet, then this whole NGO, non-governmental institution thing started. It was very prevalent across the country. And because we're fighting war and things were not okay, so one of the ways the international organizations could incentivize people to leave their comfort zone or to come from their farms to attend workshops was that, okay, let's find an alternative. If I'm leaving my farm for 2 days to come and sit, how will my pot boil, right? So the international organizations had to develop ways to find the DSA or setting fees, and that continued for a decade plus, and it kept going. And then even the local institutions that were formed during that period, they had to incorporate that into their budget as well, to tell the international organization that you are doing this. You're giving people setting fee and DSA and so forth. So when we go and establish our organizations and we host workshop as well, there's a competition. The people wouldn't come for our workshop because you're giving them setting fees. So you have to pay that as well. And then they continue for the next decade and so forth. And it just became the norm. All right. So for us at iCampus, what we've done over the last 7 to 8 years is basically, how do we erase some of that? How do we encourage young people that the skill sets you get from these trainings and workshops
can give you double
of the setting fee that you want? How do you think about long-term dreams and success and goals and so forth, and not just thinking about short-term or what you can get now? And I think it has worked, for the fact that we've impacted close to 12,000 people directly through our workshops and trainings when we look at the last number, and indirectly about 100,000 plus across the country, in terms of the grants and stuff we get, or we give out. I think it speaks volume that this can work, right? It's possible.
It's just at a lower scale yet.
So we have to keep working. It's not an event. It's going to be a process. Changing norms and perceptions is like I said, it's not an event. It's a process.
Okay, if you just joined us, you're listening to Economic Hour on ELBC Radio. Read it on other radio stations, including OKFM in Monrovia, Classic FM in Kakatama, Gibi County, Radio Banga Super Bongis in Bangabong County, Radio Gompa in Ganta, Nimba County. This morning, I have in studio on Economic Hour Mr. Luther Jeke, the Chief Executive Officer of iCampus Liberia. We're talking about the programs that they're running there and the impact they're making on society and humanity. Before we take calls, Luther, in the next, in the future, let's say 3 4 5 years from now, do you think that we can, to some extent, advance entrepreneurship in Liberia? Do we have the capacity? Do we have the potentials?
Definitely, vastly. I think Liberia has made significant stride and progress in that light. For the fact that the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning are looking the way of small business development. They're partnering with international institutions like the UNDP, USAID, and others to launch programs that are directly targeting entrepreneurs, like this growth accelerator program I talk about, like the Lift P program, like the programs, the Retrap, with the Ministry of Agriculture, the Star P. All of these programs are directly impacting young Liberians, women groups, and so forth. And for the fact that Liberia is also embracing the tenets of improving the business environment, which has to do with reducing the bureaucracy, especially around establishing a business or registering a business, reducing the time it takes to get a business registration certificate, the time it takes to get a tax clearance. Some of these things are requirements to start a business, right? Or most of them. And then creating that enabling environment where, we are thinking about government buying local, taking the first step to set that example. Because if I start a business today, Vafli, and I operate for 7, 8, 9 months and I don't get customers, that business will eventually die.
Yeah.
No one create business for.
Not only will you be discouraged to continue the business, but you wouldn't have the capital to continue your investment.
Yes. And this is not just all about business as well. It's also about the skill sets that young people will acquire, right? And that's why on the larger scale, the country has a brain drain, right? Because if I'm a smart young man and I have certain good skills that I can contribute in Liberia, and I'm here, I can find a job, I'm willing to work, or I find a job and I'm not paid well, and I get an opportunity to go to the US or to Ghana or to Sierra Leone to get something better. Right, enabling environment. So yes, I think the government is making progress. I think they just need to build on this, do more, be intentional about stuff. Let's stop the plenty politics, and help Liberians, young Liberians, intentionally, and say, when we are giving you this grant, we're not expecting, say, for example, 10%, right?
Kickbacks.
But kickbacks and all of that. So some of that discourages some of the young people from applying for these grants. The perception around, or once they put out the call for application, I think they already now see the people they want. But you have witnessed our public pitching ceremonies where we have independent judges, transparency and accountability around the process. And once you can build those kind of transparent and programs that people believe,
trust the process.
Yes, trust the process. You believe that when you go for this program, based on the merit of what you do, you can actually access these grants.
Yep. Okay, let's now take calls. Call us on 080-514-096, 080-514-096. You're listening to Economic Hour on ELBC Radio. Mr. Luther Jeke is the Chief Executive Officer at iCampus Liberia. Let's hear from this person. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead.
Okay, this is Ed Lauren Bobo calling you from Lofa County. Number 2 this month.
Yeah, let's hear you, Lawrence.
Let me just appreciate your studio guests. We answer what you're saying, because that's a challenge we have in Liberia. So for this hour, always when economic hour reach, someone would need to listen to these guys, education, the qualification, what can make you eligible to get a loan. But with all that, I just pray God for the entity to remain entity on ELBG so that we can achieve, let the Liberians know their own left and right so that we can do what we deserve for the country. But my question, there is any other document and land and other requirement to fit for the grant or the business you have, document can make you qualify for the loan? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Call us on 080 096 080 096 and be live on Economic Hour. I think he's asking how can one access some of these loans and all that. Call us on 080 096. Let's hear from this person. Good morning. Okay, call us back on 080 Better still, 7705818886, 07705818886, and be live on Economic Hour. We in conversation with Mr. Luther Jeke, the Chief Executive Officer of our campus, Liberia. So maybe you can respond to that concern.
Definitely, and thanks to the caller from all the way Lofa County there. So most of these grants program that we run, like the Growth Accelerator program with UNDP, the Agribusiness Incubator with USAID Liberia, and also our Prospect Full program with Mercy Corps. When we are launching the small grants program or the larger grants program, because up to $50,000 are going to be given to small agribusinesses through the USAID Agribusiness Incubator. There are basic requirements. For example, for the Agribusiness Incubator, it doesn't require any business registration or anything. Okay. But if you have it, you can apply with it. It increases your chance of moving forward, because the Agribusiness Incubator is basically for informal and both formal businesses. So when you come to the program, even once you have an idea, you have an informal business that you started, but you haven't registered it, one of the support services we'll give you is to help you to get that business formally registered and all of that. So that will be part of the grant package as well.
Okay.
And for the Growth Accelerator program, that's for post-revenue businesses that have been in existence for 6 months or more. So for that, we require a business registration and tax clearance. So once you come, you apply, you're selected, we encourage you to present some sort of documentation. But most of the other ones, it's not a compulsory requirement, but once you get through the program, we want to help you to formalize your business.
Okay. Lastly, before we leave you, Luther, just quickly, the international organizations like maybe the UNDP that you also part of, that you're a partner to, and the government, who are the highest or most influential supporter to entrepreneurship in the country? Based on the work you do.
I know.
Yeah.
That's a tricky one. But anyway, but I just want to say, Fafli, hats up to all of these donors, whether be it the UNDP, the USAID Liberia, the Mercy Corps, the Swedish Embassy, British Embassy, the Finnish Embassy, all of these people that we've worked with that gave us intentional support, whether we're giving a grant of $500 to a business or a grant of $50,000 through a specific program. I think all of them, they are making tremendous willingness to basically improve the small business climate in Liberia. And, we can't ignore the fact that whether you're giving 200 or you're giving, 50,000, I think all of them are doing pretty well. And I just like to appreciate them for not just thinking about giving support to government, but also giving support to the ordinary Liberians as well. So I like to appreciate all of them. I don't want to praising a specific donor, but I think all of them are very influential.
Okay. So Luther, your parting comments before we leave you.
Great. I also just want to say a huge congratulations to Liberians, especially the young people, for remaining peaceful throughout our electoral processes, both the elections and also the runoff. Thank you to Liberia and Liberians for staying positive and peaceful. In terms of, what we do at iCampus Liberia. iCampus Liberia is Liberia first innovation and co-working space, and we look forward to working with young people, women group, persons with disability, to help you with the necessary skill set, knowledge, and access to finance to scale and grow your own small business. And come, let's work together. And thanks to ELBC, LBS as well for the opportunity. And we look forward to coming back here again to share more about the opportunities we have in the coming year. By January or February, we'll start launching call for application for both the Growth Accelerator program, the Agribusiness Incubator, and also our Prospect Full program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Well, he's Luther Jeke, the Chief Executive Officer of iCampus Liberia. My name is Fafle Kamara, and this is how we leave you on this presentation of the Economic Hour. Keep listening to ELBC Radio.